set the deviation where he needs it, and I think it's coming down to the fact that this GM 350 will not allow the deviation to be set without that, special programming software add-on modification thing that I had to get for this to set the analog deviation up to where you need it.
Yeah, well, the two things that have really turned me off on DMR, and trust me, they have, is number one, as far as I'm concerned, the audio is absolutely not acceptable. To the point where I made the comment that I'm surprised that Motorola would actually put their name on a radio that used DMR. I mean, to me, it sounds terrible. It's nasty. I have gotten to the point where I can tolerate P25. It seems to not sound too bad. Break. But outside that, I have this thing about if you want to monitor a repeater in whatever mode it is, you have to pluck the thing every 10 minutes. And that may be a ham thing, I don't know. But that to me is absolutely, completely, totally intolerable. So between those two things, I have a couple of radios that do DMR, and I probably won't ever use it.
Okay. Well, you don't have to pluck it to keep it working. The only circumstances where you have to keep keying it up like that is if you're linked to some other repeater somewhere and it's set up like that so that the talk group of the other repeater is temporarily put into the repeater that you're on, in which case you have to keep keying it up periodically, or that times out and the linking drops off, so that they have it set up that way so that the two are not linked up unconditionally all the time. But I don't know which ones are like that. There's one over here in Warrensville on the some hospital, but it's not linked to just anything. You can't just feed any talk group in there and get that to happen, such as if you would want to talk to your friend on a repeater in Michigan. They don't seem to allow that on that one, but of the ones that they do allow, I never really looked into it close enough to see if those other ones are in there permanently or if it's on a key up only push to talk basis.
I think that's the one in Warrensville, I think is one of the ones that my friend Dave is involved with. And I don't understand the whole thing. But the other thing is I go on, I have a Moto Turbo radio, a mobile, and I also have an XPR 6550, both one high band and one UHF. And granted, high band isn't going to do much DMR around here, but the UHF one, I turn on and I switch past the various channels or modes or what the hell ever you call them. And I many times in the evenings and stuff like that when I would think there'd be somebody on there, and there isn't. So it doesn't get as much use as the people that are pushing it, much as the people that are using it claim it gets.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there's just, when it's not drive time, there's not much of any activity. So, what are you going to do? But that repeater that's over there on that hospital, you don't have to keep keying that up. You can, that stays in the same mode that it was in, as far as I know.
me, the audio goes up. I'm not willing to use it. It's really pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there with that. People like the way this audio sounds, but then I've got this, I think, sort of set up right too.
Hey, if I didn't say so, kiddos, check here. I think, and I may be wrong on this, but my hunch is that well, first of all, I guess the audio is configurable in the transmit audio is configurable in a user radio for in user DMR radios where it is not basically in say what I'm using now on FM, and that contributes a lot to what it sounds like on the air.
Yeah, Raj. Well, this is a XPR 4550, and this has the option to turn what they're calling AGC on or off too. And I actually read somewhere there was some mention somewhere talking about some DMR repeater that they had some recommendations there, and they seemed pretty emphatic that people leave the AGC turned off, and you can also change the mic gain. So there's somebody associated with that one who thinks that there's something wrong with AGC, but they have some experience with listening to some radio where they didn't have it set up, I think. Like they had the AGC on, but then they had the mic gain turned up too high or something like that, and it ended up sounding awful. So now, as far as they're concerned, AGC bad.
Well, is it compression or is it clipping? The deviation limiter that they have in a Mitrek, I think, does a pretty good job from what I see. The thing is built to do as linear a job as you can. Some of the older stuff in older radios didn't. But compressors, of course, basically sit there with the gain wide open until you talk. So the first syllable of the first word is at full gain, and that tends to sound crappy.
Right. So, whoever set the radio up probably didn't have access to any test equipment, and it just ended up set some way. But I have the AGC enabled on this rig, and I went to the extent of doing some testing with it, and I figured out how it worked, and then I set it to wherever it's set to now, and I think it's working on analog FM here also.
Can I ask, is the AGC enabled or disabled in that radio mode specific or radio wide?
I think it's mode specific.
Okay, well, this sounds good. This sounds like I would expect it to. The other thing that I've noticed is one of the guys that I know from the radio club has a Itera or something like that, handheld. Once in a while he gets on here on UHF, and that thing's got rotten audio. I mean, it's not that bad, but it certainly doesn't sound like Motorola. And I don't know what's the matter with it. It just doesn't sound pretty. And I figure if it doesn't sound pretty on FM, it's sure not going to sound pretty on digital.
No, right. Well, the digital radios do sound different. I have one that is the TYT brand, but it's just some Chinese junk, and I think I've gotten that set up to where it sounds okay. But But and there seems to be a lot of people with high opinions of this TYT stuff. I think the TYT stuff is not that cheap.
Well, and the other thing that may happen is I think they made some improvements in the encoding and decoding of P25 as time has gone on. Perhaps they will be doing that to DMR, and the next generation of DMR radios may tend to sound better.
Yeah, right. Well, so DMR has a sort of audio processing action there that actually generates the ultimate digital signal called AMBE, and I think that stands for Advanced Multi-Band Excitation. But anyway, AMBE is a patented technology from some company that sounds like something Voice Systems. So the purpose of it is to enable the voice quality audio to be transmitted at a data rate that would be a lot lower than what it would otherwise been. So I think it has to fit in a 9600 bit per second data rate in order to keep the occupied bandwidth down to fit in a narrow channel.
And of course, what they're doing is having two channels, if you will, and which allows two conversations in one, say, if you will, on one frequency or whatever, which everybody's all excited about that. But to me, the hell with that, I want it to sound good first. If it doesn't sound good first, I'm not going to use it. And since it doesn't sound good, I'm not using it. Because the only time that I hear it is when they get on the backbone, Skywarn backbone net on Wednesday nights after the analog net here, and I hear the people on there with the handheld that I have, and that's the only thing that I really heard, and I have judged that as sounding disgusting. I'll listen to it out of curiosity. I certainly won't listen to it any other time because it's not acceptable.
Right, understand that. Well, very good. I'm here at the Warrensville Township location here this morning, so I guess I'll go inside and make some coffee.
Why don't you just go inside and make some coffee? I am one traffic light away from the driveway at the zoo, and so that's good timing. And WHD from KSJX. Have fun. Too bad that we're inside while the weather's going to be nice, but oh well. Have a good one.
Okay, Bill, you too. We'll be talking to you. Kate SGX, this is WHD out.